Almost instantly after getting my X-Pro3, I unloaded most of my lenses in favor of a set of compact primes from Fuji. I made an episode about so-called Fujicrons, and if you watched it, you know that the question of a 90mm stayed kind of open for me. Half a year ago, I bought a Contax Zeiss 90mm f2.8 and used it ever since. Today, I feel I'm ready to talk about it, so let's do it. Aperture value is here. This time we're doing another review, and you know the hero of this episode from the title of this video. For old school photographers, Contax Zeiss lenses need no introduction, but these days, unfortunately, they get overlooked by a new generation of pixel creepers. Peepers. But we'll get to that shit later. First of all, let's settle down the question, why 90mm? Well, for primes, there's kind of an unspoken experience-proven rule of double focal length step-ups. Just like a 5-second rule for your favorite Doritos on floor. To believe it or not, it is up to you, but personally, I understand the logic behind it and therefore I kind of follow it. That is, I own 9mm, double 16mm, double 35mm, and the double of 35 is 70, and the closest one from Fuji is 80mm macro, which, let's be honest, is not an option for me because it looks like a bazooka on my X-Pro3. So since I don't use longer glasses often, I decided to split up the 70 into 50 and 90, 20mm both ways. And while I enjoy 50 f2, sometimes I need something tighter. 90 f2 is a great portrait lens from Fuji, but it's too big and heavy for me, and it seems like Fujifilm has no plans for 90mm Fujicron lens. Damn it, why? Hence, Contax Zeiss 90mm f2.8. While Sony presented its first PlayStation to the world in 1994, God, I'm old. Contax G was introduced as a luxury 35mm camera system with interchangeable lenses. It was supposed to compete with cameras like Leica M7, Konica XR, and Voigtlander Bassa R. Was it tough? I betcha. But they had a secret weapon, some ass-whooping glass to go along. All of them were designed by Zeiss, and the well-known marking on the lens itself tricks you into thinking they made them too. Who knew that in the future Zeiss, as well as Leica and Hasselblad, will gladly slap their name on phones? Back then it wasn't so bad, so all except one, Contax Zeiss lenses were actually made in Japan by Kyocera under license. But hey, Japan is better than Thailand, right, Sonny? Lenses have a titanium body to match the Contax G cameras. Black versions exist but are rare since they were a part of a limited edition Contax G2 kits with black paint camera and 3 lenses. So if you want to get a black lens, you gotta add an extra buck. All lenses are great performers, they were heavily advertised at the moment, and 90 f2.8 is not an exception. It has a 5-element focus group design, 8 straight aperture blades, 1 meter close focus distance, 46mm filter thread, and a weight of 240 grams. Some sources say 190 grams, but that's bullshit, isn't that right, Ken? Mine stripped down measures at 242 grams. This ode is getting fat. It was one of the 3 lenses launched together with the Contax G in '94 and cost separately $660, which equals to around $1,200 in 2021 money. The production was ceased together with the whole system as Kyocera dropped the mic in 2005. For my needs, the first choice would be of course the Leica Macro LMR M90F4. It's Leica, so it's gotta be good optically, collapsible for maximum compactness, and light as well. The problem with it? Same as always. It is expensive, bro, seriously. The second choice would be the Canadian-made Tele-Elmarid M90 2.8. It's not collapsible, but still small and light and seriously much cheaper. Almost got it. And then I stumbled across Contax 90 2.8 on the dark side of the photography online forums. But jokes aside, people were really positive about this lens, and most assured that the performance-wise it's at least on par with the mentioned before Elmarid 90 2.8. It is a bit lighter and cheaper as well, so I decided to give it a try. Contax G. Hi. Now here is where we should talk about why the lens that used to cost more than $1,000 new can be now bought for peanuts. Contax G is an autofocus system, and uniquely for film cameras, the lenses do not have a focusing ring. Focus is screw-driven by the camera body. It makes it pain in the ass to adapt these lenses even though the flange distance is quite small. I guess this is why Contax lenses are so popular today. For the same reasons, you need to read your instructions carefully on how to mount it properly, since it's not so simple. Adapters are comparatively big, clunky, and do not provide smooth focus operation at all. One type is with this big focus ring, and another is just like mine, smaller with a thin and uncomfortable ring. The mechanics behind them imitate the work of a camera's focus drive screw, so you can imagine how horrible it is compared to just simply turning the focus ring on the lens itself. A company in Japan used to rehouse this lens internals into an M-mount body with a regular focusing ring, but it costs a lot, and as far as I know, they don't do that anymore. Another company offers a DIY kit, but they do it only for the Contax Zeiss 35 f2, and still it is expensive. Not to mention that you gotta take apart the original lens yourself, so I guess you gotta stick to adapters for now. The good thing is that focusing starts from infinity and does not require much throw when shooting at f8 like I do mostly. It would be a hustle though to shoot portraits at closer distances, cause pulling all that shit out and then focusing precisely is hell of a challenge. Adapter also does add weight to it, so together it's like 310 grams, but still, it is one of the lightest options, outweighing only the 90mm f4 from Leica, even with an M-mount adapter. The difference is negligible though. Besides, Leica doesn't have this dope titanium finish, which is almost same color as my Duratec Titanium X-Pro3, which is another reason to try out Contax G lenses with X-Pro3, simply for the looks. But performance-wise, it also does not disappoint. I've used it a fair amount of times, and seriously, the darknet photo forum users were right. The sharpness and the quality out of this thing is more than enough for the money. If you're more into portraiture or just shooting wide open, that 8 straight blades can make some distracting and hectic bokeh. But if you're looking into bokeh, you'll find much better options anyway. For me, it has to be compact, light, and decent performance-wise, which this lens absolutely is. I had a quick moment with a 90 f2 from Fuji, and I made some shots wide open and at f8. Wide open, you can definitely see that 90 f2 is a tad sharper in the center, but it was just a sprinkle of sharpening. Contax Zeiss could catch up no problem. Also, obviously, bokeh is much better on Fuji, which is kind of expected. Now switching to my working aperture at f8, things change, to my eye at least. The center looks at least as sharp on Contax Zeiss, and it definitely looks a bit more contrasty. Considering the price difference, I think Contax performed well enough. It is plenty sharp and seems to render a bit more vivid colors than Fuji lenses. Some minimal fringing also takes place from time to time, but it's easy to correct in post. I've had some very nice and sharp images done with it, so I cannot complain. All in all, I think Contax Zeiss 90mm f2.8 is hell of a lens, and if you can get over the fact that focusing can be troublesome, you'll be more than happy. I'm talking about slow kind of shooting where you have time to focus precisely. It looks good, it delivers, not to mention that sweet price tag. I still have an itch for Leica's Macro 90 f4, maybe when I get more rich and less budget friendly. But for now, Contax will be just fine for me. And remember, whatever your girlfriend says, 9 centimeters is plenty to enjoy, man.